The Green Man Gaming summer sale is finally here, and look what's on sale, fellas. Look what's on sale. Link below. You know, you should go buy it if you haven't got it already. Gaming backlogs are a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it's great that there's so many options of all kinds of different games to play. You know, there's so much choice. But the bad part of that is, well, the exact same thing. There's too much choice. Like, it's really hard to choose what to play. Luckily for me, I've turned my backlog into a content farm. So let's get on to the first game that I finished in my backlog. That being a DLC, Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. Now, in my last backlog video, I talked about the main campaign of Red Dead Redemption and how it was a really good time. It had a very slow start, but by the end of it, I was very conflicted on the fact of whether or not I prefer it over Red Dead 2. And I think Undead Nightmare really solidifies the fact that I do kind of prefer Red Dead 1 over Red Dead 2, and that's because this DLC really makes Red Dead 1 feel like a game. It is a non-canon, goofy zombie spin-off of the formula of the base game. It's a DLC, basically. This is the first time I've ever covered a DLC on this backlog series, and you know what? It might as well be its own game. It's huge, you know, it takes the whole entire map of Red Dead Redemption and zombifies it with all kinds of wacky shit. There's even a Sasquatch that you can find, and we get this epic dialogue from John.
Granting me peace. You eat babies!
It begins with John waking up after reuniting with his family, and they all get zombified, and he has to go out and find a cure and try and figure out what is going on. That's all you really need to know. You're sent out into the open world, you do the usual stranger missions, but a unique mechanic to Undead Nightmare is the fact that each area and each main city can get overrun by zombies, and you can like go to the different ones and clear the zombies out, but it doesn't stay cleared out forever, if you understand what I mean. Like, zombies constantly come back. It feels like an alive world, despite the fact zombies are dead. Like, they're all dead. There's all kinds of cool shit in this DLC. There's even like horses based on the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and they look really cool, like this flaming horse, which I accidentally killed and I couldn't get back, so I had to stick with a zombie horse, which again, super cool. The only downside to this DLC is it can feel a bit aimless at times, and there are moments when it comes to the missions where you feel kind of lost in what to do. Like, you have to do all of the side content to progress the main campaign, which kind of sucks at times because some of the side content is just like going out into the open world, finding a zombie type, doing a certain thing with that zombie type, like tying it up and bringing it back to someone else, or finding some random ass herb which is like, oh, it's located in this certain area of the map. So you spend about 15 minutes using your special vision to try and find the herb. I don't actually remember, is that vision in Red Dead 1? I think it's only Red Dead 2. I don't remember. I have those parts cut out of my mind. But besides that, it's a very solid DLC. I really enjoyed my time playing it, and it makes me really sad that we never got an Undead Nightmare for Red Dead Redemption 2. And that is exactly why I kind of prefer this game over the second one. It's just more gamey. Like, I don't know what else to say, really. It's just more fun. Now, the next game I want to talk about is Dead Rising 1. Specifically Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, because I did actually beat Dead Rising 1 years ago. I think it was 2018, but I found the game too hard at the time, so I cheated in that Mega Man Buster and just kind of cheesed the game the whole way through. I still really enjoyed it though, I wouldn't consider that beating the game. So when I got Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, I figured now's my time. You know, they made certain elements of it easier, you can move around while aiming, and they streamlined a lot of it. There's a lot of issues, like a lot of people prefer the original game over this one, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to look at it objectively. I'm just going to look at it from my enjoyment, and I really enjoyed this game. I used to be a big Dead Rising 3 fan. I used to think Dead Rising 3 was the best one in the series for some reason. I mean, that game is just dumb fun. What else can I really say about it? It's just a really good time. If you have a friend to play a zombie game with, play Dead Rising 3. But now I gotta say, Dead Rising 1 is better than the third game. I get where people were coming from. The Willamette Mall is an iconic location for any zombie game, really. Like, this place is iconic, and after playing it, I know it like the back of my hand. It is just great, and despite the fact it's so colorful and so saturated with color everywhere, it feels bleak. It feels imposing. Like, the Willamette Mall feels like a character in on itself, and it feels intimidating. And that's because of multiple different factors. Dead Rising 1 as a whole, I think, is the only Dead Rising game that feels truly, like, depressing and just bleak as a whole. Like, the beginning has you taking pictures of survivors not knowing what's going on, fighting for their lives against zombies, and because you're a journalist, you're taking pictures of these horrific moments of these people experiencing the last moments of their lives. And don't get me wrong, it's still a goofy game, because, you know, it's Dead Rising. You know, you can wear a big Lego man head. I don't actually know what this yellow head is called, but it's pretty iconic, you know? It's the same with the psychopaths as well. If you don't know already, the psychopaths are like the boss fights in the game, and in later games they go absurdly off the walls. Like, Dead Rising 3 has, I don't know, like this fucking BDSM guy who's got a giant flaming penis weapon. I don't know what else to say about this. But Dead Rising 1, it feels depressing. Like, there's one guy who's like a Vietnam War soldier who watched one of his family members die, which is why he goes insane and starts killing a bunch of people. There's the shopkeeper, which, yeah, I mean, his cutscene is kind of goofy, but like, I don't know, like, it kind of makes sense that these people go absolutely insane during these events, and it feels way more grounded in this game, which kind of makes it kind of unnerving in a way. I can't say that about the clown boss, though. He's just fucking stupid, although he is kind of creepy. He wields 2 chainsaws. That chainsaw that he drops after you defeat him comes in clutch. I used that through the entire game. It was so good. A huge factor of Dead Rising is the time limit, and this basically determines what you'll be doing at what point in the game, and it's pretty strict at times. You need to really plan out and map your way through the Willamette Mall to do certain things like saving survivors, bringing them back to the safe house, taking on psychopaths, and of course, doing the main missions, which are called cases. And you can miss a lot of these if you don't plan out what you need to do. And it's something that Dead Rising 4 removed because people complained about the time limit for some reason, even though that's like an integral part of any Dead Rising game. Dead Rising 4 is just... I have a backlogged review for Dead Rising 4, just put it up on screen. That is how I feel about that game. That game fucking sucks. Frank West is an iconic character. He's incredible. He's a sleazy journalist who has a heart of gold. Obviously, he wants the best for everyone. And he's also really cool. I think he's a very cool character. I think he should... I think they should bring him to Dead by Daylight. I think they should make the Willamette Mall a map in Dead by Daylight and bring him in as a survivor. Don't need a killer. You don't need a killer for a Dead Rising collab with that game. But yeah, Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. It's a very good game. I do have PTSD though whenever I went out into the park area in the middle and I heard that fucking music and I saw the health bar for the free prisoners. Good God, if you're escorting survivors and you're like midway through the game, don't take the courtyard as a shortcut. Just some advice from me if you're planning on playing the game. Now, before I get onto the next game, I am gonna have a guest speaker, and he's actually editing this video right now, so he can literally introduce himself in any way that he wants. I don't know what he's gonna do or what unhinged shit he's planning, but he's gonna do something stupid because I know this guy very well, and that is the channel with the freakishly long name who's gonna be talking about whatever fucking game he's gonna talk about. I'm gonna go take a break. I'll see you all in a bit.
Helloing, ladies and longs. It's me, Mr. Long, also known as the reason you're watching this video right now. Here's a setup tour below Prox's basement, also known as a 5-star accommodation in the UK. And when it comes down to the slight inconvenience, which is my backlog, I managed to knock off a few games this year, and one of those games was one of PC gaming's most beloved franchises. A game where a nerd comes to work one morning and proceeds to waste all of the US's munitions funds. Yes, I finally played Half-Life after essentially banning it to my Steam library back in 2019, much like a lot of the games that I end up buying and forgetting that they exist, like my son at a Walmart. And after asking people what iconic game I should finally try and get around to finishing, ding ding ding, Life was the game that got the courtesy of being played by me, as well as being critically analyzed like the sad little tuber that I am. So what did I think of Half-Life? I think it's pretty good. I enjoyed exploring the world of Black Mesa. I love the atmosphere, the locations, the gameplay, which I think is really something that's a little bit better than even that of Half-Life 2, and I also enjoyed killing the enemies. That's what you get for stealing my overtime salary, bitch. But do I think that this game has aged particularly gracefully? And can I see the iconic status that this game has acquired itself back in 1998? Yes and no. Well, yes, while I think its larger emphasis on narrative was a nice change of pace from shooters that were commonplace back in the 90s, I feel like it really hampers down the pace of what is really more of a frenetic shooter when you compare it to the later games in the series, so maybe John Carmack's porn comparison was actually right. But where I think that the game does shine is in the weapons as well as the set pieces that you take part in the world of Black Mesa. Well, yes, some levels do end up feeling like a drag, and not even the more obvious ones like Zen, which I thought wasn't as bad as most people say. Some places like Honor Rail and the Minefield are just absolute dog shit, and I didn't even know how these levels were passable for 1998. But I did end up really enjoying the vibes of the original Half-Life more than its sequel, because I think it has a nicer enemy variety, which I thought was a hell of a lot more interesting than the Combine. Its larger emphasis on a horror vibe really drives home how bad this incident was to you and everybody who was involved. And overall, I just think that as a game, it was a hell of a lot more fleshed out and polished than that of Half-Life 2. But I will say though that despite loving the game, I do still feel like it falls short on some trappings that were commonplace of shooters in the era. Stuff like the level design being somewhat confusing and downright maze-like, making navigating some of these areas annoying as hell just trying to get a move on, and in the more open environments, it makes it feel a little bit too overwhelming for the players, which was a common issue that a lot of types of shooters suffered from back in the day. Only now with this game's insistence on narrative, it also kind of brings down the pacing as I mentioned before, which I just thought was much better handled in other games. You know, being able to skip a cutscene instead of just sitting on your ass like in this 5-minute fucking tram right at the beginning of the game. Really not really fun on replays, and I think it's a little bit more of an annoyance than a novelty nowadays. But overall, I did really enjoy my time with the first Half-Life. But I should say that despite me loving it, and can kinda see where this game had a massive influence on first-person shooter games, but overall, I just think I prefer Half-Life 2 a lot more for its iconic place in gaming, because I feel like it did everything that I wanted to do there a lot better than here. Also, I did end up playing the 2 expansions as well, but I don't think I'm gonna waste too much of your time here. Opposing Forces, I thought was great. Blue Shift, I thought was abysmal dog shit. Blue shit. But they do have one thing in common that ties both of these games together quite nicely, because if you can't run them, then just make your own game engine. Thank you, Prox. Now piss off and turn the light when you leave.
Wow, thank you for that, the channel with the freakishly long name. Get back to editing my video. Okay, so the next game I want to talk about is Metal Gear Solid 2. I've made a video recently called Loving Games You Hate to Play, and that is exactly how I would describe my experience with Metal Gear Solid 2. It pissed me off beyond belief. The controls felt cumbersome, it felt kind of frustrating to deal with, and obviously that's because it was designed around like pressure buttons that focused on like pressure control, if that makes sense, and also because it's a PlayStation 2 game. You know, there's a lot of mechanics in Metal Gear Solid 2 that they had to fit onto a DualShock 2. It makes sense why it feels a bit cumbersome and clunky at times, and yeah, once you get used to it, it does become easier, but I had a frustrating time playing through it as a whole. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I love this game. Metal Gear Solid 2 is as good as people make it out to be. I understand the glaze for Hideo Kojima. This guy was ahead of his time, even though he loves AI stuff now. He says he doesn't, but I think deep down he does. I think deep down he loves AI because he's a bit of a self-centered prick, and he broke up with Jeff Keighley. They should get back together. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 is just great. It's just great. I really like Raiden. I do wish you played as Snake through the entire game like you do at the start though, and I do get why people back then were kind of burnt at the fact you had to play through it as Raiden. It makes complete sense. Alright, Solid Snake is such a cool character. Everybody loves this guy for a reason. Even though he plays the exact same as Raiden, it's just Raiden's he's a bit mangy. He moans a lot. He just complains a lot. I think that's the biggest problem. But it's still a great game, you know, there's a bunch of different things you can play around with. It's incredibly detailed. A lot of passion and care was put into it. It's got very frustrating moments, don't get me wrong. The bomb defusal bit, I'm not the biggest fan of, especially with the boss fight with the bomb guy. I think he's called Fat Man, who has roller skates and he drinks wine from a straw. I don't understand this character design, but hey, it was a great time. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm probably going to go back and play Metal Gear Solid 1 now. Before anyone says anything, I do know what happens in Metal Gear Solid 1. I just didn't enjoy playing it at the time, which is why I went straight onto Metal Gear Solid 2. I understood what was going on, okay? So don't be too mean to me about that. I will go back and play MGS 1. Now, the last game I want to talk about is Far Cry Primal. Let me check how long I played Far Cry Primal for. Let me just get it up here. I played Far Cry Primal for 54 minutes before dropping it, alright? I did not enjoy this game. I have a Backlog review up basically summarizing my experience playing through this. It is like watching paint dry, but occasionally a saber-toothed tiger jumps out and tries mauling you, or another wild animal that you find. It's just very boring. I get the idea, like it was a cool gimmick, you know, going back to the Stone Age, playing as a caveman, fighting mammoths and using spears and a bow, even though you use a bow in every other fucking Far Cry game. It just, I don't know, it's just kind of boring. I get a lot of people like this game, and I'm not trying to like disrespect the fact that a lot of people do enjoy this, but yeah, it's just not very fun. I just didn't enjoy it, and I dropped it. I dropped it very early in. I also didn't really like Far Cry 4, so I think this being built off the groundworks of Far Cry 4 didn't help with my enjoyment, which, you know, is a shame, but I gave it a shot. I got it for a deep discount, but I dropped it pretty quickly, so I thought it'd be worth including it in this Backlog video. And then you do the little screen where it shows like the pros and cons. That's a wrap. Before I wrap things up for this video, I just want to add on a new section, which is going to be games that I've 100%ed in this month, because, you know, I talk about a lot of achievement related stuff on this channel, so I figured every now and then when I 100% a game in a blue moon, I figured I'd talk about it, and this time I 100%ed Shadows of the Damned. Now, I 100%ed Shadows of the Damned because I had to stream through the entire game again. By the way, follow me on Twitch. Started using Twitch a lot more. I also stream on here, but, you know, I multi-stream, but Twitch is a lot more better for streaming. But I played through the entirety of Shadows of the Damned again, and I was like 5 achievements away from beating it, one of those achievements being completing the game on hard. So I figured, hey, I'm gonna play through the entire thing again on hard, and I did that for 2 streams, and it really wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. The boss fights were pretty frustrating to deal with though, like some of them took about 5 business days to beat, and then you get near the end and then you get killed by some absolute bullshit, and then you have to redo the entire thing again. But I can live with that. It still took me around 5 hours to beat on hard, and then after that point it was just some pretty simple cleanup stuff, like getting all the red gems to upgrade every single item, which I just did on easy at the end. And I really like Shadows of the Damned, so I enjoyed 100%ing this game, even though the difficulty achievements do not stack. But the fact I used the easy mode achievement for cleanup kind of negated the whole frustration with that. It's not like Ninja Gaiden 2 where there's like 8 difficulties you need to play through. Fuck the idea of 100%ing that game, genuinely. But yeah, Shadows of the Damned, that is now on my list of 100%ed games, and I am working on a main channel video talking about why I like that game so much and why more people should check it out, because it is one of Suda51's most underrated titles, and it's one of my favorites. Thank you all so much for watching this Backlog video. It is currently 33 degrees Celsius here in the UK, and I'm dying, so I'm just going to get on with the summer sale recommendations from Green Man Gaming. The first game I want to recommend is Dead Rising 3. This is a very good Dead Rising game. I actually prefer it over Dead Rising 2. It used to be my favorite until I played the deluxe remaster of the first one, but yeah, for 83% off, you can't go wrong. Grab it for your friend as well. It's got really good co-op gameplay. Such a fun game. The next one I want to recommend is Control Ultimate Edition for 87% off. You know, the sequel is coming out very soon. Now's the time to get this one. It's very interesting. It's unlike anything else. It is a very strange game, and you can't go wrong for £4. And the last recommendation, I mean, you already know what it is. The Evil Within, 78% off. It's a steal. That is less than a McDonald's meal, and it is one of my favorite games ever made. So, and with that, I just want to thank my Patreon supporters. You guys are always going to be the best. I really appreciate the fact that you're supporting me. I'm not very talkative right now because I'm dying from the heat. It is insanely warm here, and I don't understand why. I hate this country. But what I don't hate is my channel members. You guys are also incredible. Thank you so much for supporting me. I genuinely don't know. I don't know what else to say, really. You guys are the best, and I will see you all in the next video.